Lose yourself in a good book. The Bord Gáis Energy Book Club.
Now, from Stephen King's sequel to The Shining to Kathy Kelly's latest offering, The Honey Queen, the coming year has some great treats in store for the avid readers among us. So joining us to take us through his pick of the best and to mark your diary in terms of what you might look out for, our resident book reviewer, Bob Johnson from the Gutter Bookshop. Good morning, Bob. Happy New Year to you.
And Happy New Year to you.
Now, we're going to start with thrillers. And
yes.
I mean, there will be a lot of big thrillers out this year, but I suppose in terms of the really, really big names, the superstars, the fellows who do 10, 15 million plus, Dan Brown and Stephen King. We'll start with Dan Brown. How long is it since he's released something? Is it 3 years now?
God, The Lost Symbol is 4 years, I think, if I remember rightly, if not slightly longer, yeah.
So
but
this
4
one
years,
is this one's going to be called Inferno, and it's Robert Langdon back again.
It is, yep. So Robert Langdon, the symbologist professor that raced around in Da Vinci Code and in The Lost Symbol and Angels and Demons, and so yes, he's back solving puzzles and codes. It's called Inferno. It's all about Dante's Inferno. So it's all about the secrets of Alighieri Dante, the Italian Renaissance poet. So lots of racing around Italy, I'm sure, solving puzzles, and apparently there will be secret passageways. So we all know a good Dan Brown, good page-turning thriller, racing through, no time to go to the toilet. It'll be one of those. Yeah,
you'd wonder just how much more of this he can come up with to kind of sustain your interest. But I suppose
it will be a big book in every way, I think. Exactly.
Even if he only does half the business of the last one, it's still going to be a major seller, isn't it?
Exactly.
Personally, and I don't mean this to be in any way literally a literary snob here, but Stephen King with a follow-up to The Shining would be of much more interest to me, because The Shining is kind of almost like a landmark book for people of my age.
I think The Shining is his seminal work, along with Carrie. It's the one he's known for, and of course everybody remembers the film of The Shining with Jack Nicholson. So his new one, Dr. Sleep, it's not out to the autumn. It's going to be one of the biggest books of the year, I think, and it takes off the small boy Danny who appears in The Shining. It's his life, so basically he's now middle-aged. It kind of picks up Danny's life and explores what happens with The Shining. Danny was the small boy that kicked off everything in the original book. So whether you know the book or the movie, this is going to be a big one in the autumn.
Well, it's a good excuse to get the movie out again, anyway, because it features, if you look at top 100 movies, and particularly horror and
Jack Nicholson in that movie is one of the scariest things ever.
Now, literary fiction is the next genre, and that covers a very wide net. But we're going to pick two, and it's Irish: Maggie O'Farrell and Colin McCann.
Exactly. Again, with all of these books, there's so much coming in 2013, so I had to pick out some real kind of nuggets, some gold nuggets. So coming out in February, Instructions for a Heatwave by Maggie O'Farrell, set in the summer of 1976, which is the big heatwave summer, and it's an Irish London family. So they're from Ireland, they're living in London, and basically one day the older husband walks out of the door and just never comes back. So the children are summoned to the house, and a plan is put in place to find where he is. So it's wonderful writing from Maggie O'Farrell. A lot of it Irish-based. They come over to Ireland, and a lot of it about growing up in Ireland and about how Irish families work. Wonderful writing about how families work and how siblings bounce off each other and annoy each other.
This will resonate with just about everybody.
Exactly, yeah, and great writing. The other one, Colin McCann's Transatlantic. Colin McCann is Let the Great World Spin, which is a huge prize-winning book, beautiful. He's Dublin-born but living over in New York. And again, Transatlantic, it takes up several strands of stories, like Let the Great World Spin, and switches between islands. So you have the first transatlantic flight.
To Alcock and Brown.
Exactly, Alcock and Brown. And then we have Senator George Mitchell, the peace process in 1998. Again, he's an American who came over to work on the peace process. And then we have Frederick Douglass, an American slave who I never knew actually came over to Ireland in the 1800s to talk about abolition of slavery. So all these tales interwoven. So again, another good literary one. That's Colin McCann's. That's out in May.
Now, in terms of female fiction, two of the biggest, and I suppose the godmother of the current crop I hesitate, I won't use the term, that term they don't like.
Popular fiction, maybe.
Female
fiction. Yeah,
but this woman is viewed as the godmother, Patricia Scanlon, With All My Love. That's coming out in March, followed by one of her great disciples, Kathy Kelly, The Honey Queen.
That's it. So actually, Kathy Kelly's out first in February, The Honey Queen. Patricia Scanlon, With All My Love, in March. Both just in time for Mother's Day. You'd think they'd planned it that way, wouldn't you? But great stories, generations of families, set in Ireland. England, and wonderful storytelling, weaving, family stories together. So
they both like trios, don't they? Kathy tends to go for 3 women,
yes,
and Patricia tends to go across 3 generations.
3 generations, exactly.
Okay.
So again, good stuff from them.
People to watch this year, new Irish writers. You're singling out Kevin Maher and Kieran Collins.
That's right. So Kevin Maher, a book called The Fields, which is coming out in March. Wonderful story, growing up in Dublin in the 1980s. So you've got the whole nostalgia angle of this is what we ate, this is how the family worked, these are the things we went to, this is what we listened to. But then it gets quite dark, and then he switches the action over to London.
Okay, very quickly. Yes. Kieran Collins, the Gommel. Now, anybody who did
I was going to ask you how to say that. Being a Cork man, I was going to add the Gommel.
It's not that. It's an Irish expression for fool, idiot. The Gommel.
The Gommel, exactly. Yeah. And that's exactly what it is. A young man everybody writes off as an idiot, but there's a lot more going on. Kieran Collins, the Gommel. It's out in April. Well worth reading. Reminded me of Patrick McCabe's The Butcher Boy.
Oh, there's a recommendation.
Exactly. So interesting, intriguing writing, and 2 really great authors to look out for.
That's Kevin Maher and Kieran Collins, Kathy Kelly and Patricia Scanlon, Maggie O'Farrell and Colin McCann and Dan Brown.
So stacks of good writing.
And you can buy them all, obviously, in the Gutter Bookshop.
Please do.
Well, we have to keep him in fertiliser for that beard. Now, this month we are asking you to send us a review of any of the books that you read and enjoyed over Christmas. So you get to pick the one that you review. Review should be no longer than 50 words, and a prize of a stylish BlackBerry playbook is up for grabs. To enter, simply send us your review by Friday, which is this Friday, actually, the 25th of January. And it should be emailed to irelandm@tv3.ie or sent by post to Bord Gáis Energy Book Club, TV3, Westgate Business Park, Ballymount, Dublin 24. You can also enter through the website, which is tv3.ie/book club.
Lose yourself in a good book. The Bord Gáis Energy Book Club.